We will miss everything about him, from his quiet nature to the corny jokes, his gentle smile, the way he made everyone around him feel comfortable, loved, and at ease. Your absence has left an emptiness that can never truly be filled. A piece of our hearts will always be missing. Nolan, your father and I are incredibly proud of you. We've always been proud of you, of the young man you were, and we will always be proud of the legacy of love, kindness, and faith that you have left behind. In a world that can often feel dark, be like Nolan. Be the light that brightens the lives of those around you.
On the 4th of July, a boat left the Mississippi coast carrying a group of friends toward a barrier island most of them had visited a dozen times before. By the end of the weekend, one of them would be dead, and months later, nobody would be able to say exactly how. This is the story of Nolan Wells. Nolan Xavier Wells was 18 years old, raised in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. He'd graduated high school in 2025 and was playing wide receiver for Southwest Mississippi Community College, gearing up to head back for football training after the holiday weekend. Friends and family describe him as the kind of guy who lit up a room. In photos from that day, he towers over the group, arms slung around their shoulders, smiling. On July 3rd, Nolan told his parents he'd be spending the long weekend with friends. The next morning, a boat left a private dock near Ocean Springs at 9:56 a.m., according to GPS data later obtained from the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. It arrived at Horn Island, a remote barrier island about 10 miles off the coast, a little over an hour later. Horn Island isn't the kind of place with roads or buildings. It's sand, water, and whoever shows up by boat. That day, the group included Nolan and several friends, among them Warren Hudson, Jax Pitalo, and Morgan Seymour. The day went on the way beach days do, until it didn't. Sometime in the afternoon, the group's boat started taking on water. A bilge pump issue caused the hull to fill faster than they could manage, and around 4 o'clock, someone on board called Sea Tall for help. The caller said everyone was accounted for and on board. A nearby boater reportedly helped out as well, and the group's boat headed back toward the mainland. But when it left the island around 4:31 that afternoon, Nolan wasn't on it. According to his friends, Nolan chose to stay behind. They say he'd met a young woman on the island earlier that day, and he told them he'd get back to the mainland later with a different group. Another friend who was present has backed up that account. The boat carrying Hudson, Pitalo, and Seymour got back to the mainland by around 6 that evening. Nolan didn't come home that night. Around 11 p.m, his family reported him missing after a worried call from one of his friends. The next day, search crews combed Horn Island. Drone flights were launched to try to spot him, though the effort ran into technical problems and extreme heat that grounded the equipment more than once. A search and rescue group called the United Cajun Navy joined the effort as well. On the morning of July 6th, a National Park Service ranger found Nolan's body in the water along the island's shoreline. He'd been missing for 2 days. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office took the lead on the investigation. Early on, the sheriff told reporters there was no evidence of foul play at that point, though the case was far from closed. In the weeks since, investigators say they've interviewed dozens of witnesses, and the FBI has assisted with reviewing digital evidence. Nolan's 3 friends who were on the boat that day have all been interviewed by investigators as well, according to their attorney. Here's the part that's kept this case in headlines for weeks. Nobody has said officially how Nolan died. An independent autopsy, arranged by the family's legal team, came back listing the cause as undetermined. The official state autopsy hasn't been made public. Prosecutors have said it will remain sealed until it's presented to a grand jury, as required under Mississippi law. Nolan's mother, Christine, has been one of the loudest voices demanding accountability. The family hired civil rights attorney Ben Crump to run an independent investigation alongside the official one, a move that put 2 separate inquiries on parallel tracks. Civil rights activist Al Sharpton also stepped in publicly, pledging a reward for information related to the case. Questions have circulated online about the emergency call for help, about why Nolan wasn't on the boat when it left, and because Nolan is black and the friends he was with are white, about whether race played any role in what happened. It's worth being clear here, none of that speculation has been confirmed by investigators. It's part of the public conversation around this case, not an established fact. One of the most contested threads in this story involves Nolan's cell phone, which came back to the mainland even though he didn't. Claims have circulated that messages or photos were missing from it. Attorney J. Tyler Cox, who represents Hudson, Pitalo and Seymour, has pushed back hard on that, stating publicly that he doesn't believe anything was missing from the phone, and alleging, without confirmation from investigators, that the family hadn't yet turned the device over to law enforcement. That claim is disputed, and it hasn't been verified independently. It's an allegation from one side of a case that still has a lot of open questions. Hudson, Pitalo and Seymour have said the past few months have upended their lives. Their attorneys say the three have been harassed and threatened online, accused, without evidence, they say, of involvement in Nolan's death. In one sit-down interview, Hudson put it simply, "I wish we would have never gone out on the 4th of July. He and the others have maintained they had nothing to do with what happened to Nolan," describing him as a close friend, not a stranger they turned their backs on. Their attorneys have said they intend to pursue legal action against anyone spreading unverified claims about their clients. Strip away the speculation, and here's what's actually been established. Nolan Wells went to Horn Island on July 4th. He didn't leave with his friends. 2 days later, his body was found in the water. His family is still waiting for an official cause of death. His friends are still waiting to be cleared, at least in the eyes of the public. And a grand jury may eventually hear the case, under Mississippi law. Everything else, the theories, the timelines pieced together from second-hand accounts, the arguments over a cell phone, is still just that. Questions, not answers. Until Mississippi authorities release an official cause and manner of death, that's likely to stay true. The most honest way to follow this story is to keep watching for what investigators actually confirm, not what gets repeated the loudest online. If you want to stay updated as this case develops, go ahead and subscribe to this channel.